there, Liam. Hope you're doing well, and hope your trip is going smoothly. Hope you're having a good time too. This is your your Suzuki classical lesson for today, and then I'll do your rock lesson in probably as I turn off this video. So cool. So thanks for sending over the video for me. Gave me some good jumping off points and coming up with what we're to talk about today. First thing is I love your new stool. It looks great. Like all the other Suzuki kids and Steve and Mike's studio, they all have the same thing, so I like it. The only other thing is, where's your footstool? And I might know where it is. It's in my closet right now. Make sure you remind me to give that to you next time. But if you don't have a footstool, just get like a bunch of old textbooks or something like that and stack them up. That how you don't want to practice kind of you don't want to have your foot sitting at like that, right? I can't imagine sitting having my foot at an angle like that for any length of period of time. I guess you're still a young guy, so I guess you can get away with it for a little bit, but that looked uncomfortable to me. Not only that, and we'll talk probably a little bit later in the lesson about it too, is that it affects your whole sitting position, right? When you're kind of leaning forward, kind of like that, kind of like trying to get through. Now, if I was like, doing a quick demonstration, I need to get through something real quick, I probably, might do something like that. But if I'm like playing something through for somebody, I would definitely have all my sitting position stuff the same as I always do, because it throws everything else out of whack. So make sure to always use a footstool and sit the same way each time. It's sort of like, I guess it's sort of like a violin, like your sister, your violin. What happens if every single time she played violin, it was like a different length, or like the horsehair was like different each time? So you want consistency. Or say a piano player. What happens if the piano player was playing and the piano was like moving around on them, right? As you're playing, you're kind of shifting around, trying to make things reach. It's kind of like someone singing at piano and like the piano is moving as you're trying to play, right? Or say you sit down to play at the piano and the chair that you sit on is different every single time. So you want consistency with your sitting position, right? And then number two, let's dive into the Carcassi. Big thing, our big theme, and you probably guess what I'm going to say, is dragons. Dragons abound in your Andante, and there's a solution for that. One is to bracket little sections of it and practice the right hand by itself, and then put the left hand in, kind of like how we've been doing the last few weeks. Make sure to do that, because what I did when I was first learning how to play is I just kind of did like whatever finger. And what would happen is, like, it was fine like when I was practicing at home, and then as soon as like there was any sort of like stress or like I got nervous or something like that, now you're sitting at your house recording a video, that's one level of stress. But if you go up on stage, that's just like another place where you've kind of like told your left hand exactly what you want. It's like, hey, left hand, I need you to do this movement right here exactly with these fingers, okay? This is what I want you to do. Right hand, I need you to wing it, right? And that's just a recipe for things falling apart. I've been nervous as heck on stage before, and what saved me was that I knew what right hand fingering I was doing, right? It's like I programmed this hand really good, and the times I was really nervous and things kind of didn't go the way I wanted them to go, was that this hand did not know what it was going to do. Like, I kind of like practiced the piece, I just got to learn how to play it, and then I never really solidified what my right hand was going to do. So that's just another area where things could fall apart. So it's only in your best interest to do that. It seems tedious, I understand that. It is a tedious part of our practice, but it really is actually a quicker way, because you have two options. Option A is that you just play the piece over and over and over and over again, just run it on repeat, just over and over, just rehearsing all the time. Or B, we look at it carefully and go, okay, these are the right hand fingerings. And actually, if you do it this way, it actually takes less time to learn the piece, because you've already kind of figured out everything that you're going to do. You don't need to rehearse it a billion times. I remember one of my adult students, he was doing an audition for some guy, some series in Yale or something, and he sent the video to me, and in the notes of the video, what he said was, I spent 3 hours recording this 2-minute video for you. And I felt terrible for him, because I was like, dude, you spent 2 hours recording something that like ended up being like 2 minutes. And so we sat down in the next lesson, and we kind of vowed that, like, okay, we got to figure out what the problem is. And the problem was that he was just letting his right hand do whatever it wanted. He figured out the left hand, but he didn't work his right hand out at all. And then he had to do the same audition like a year later, and we spent that whole year kind of like, okay, we got to figure out the right hand patterns, what are we doing here? And then he came into his lesson, and he's like, "Hey Doug, I recorded that audition video. I did it in 3 takes." He saved himself an afternoon of struggle in kind of getting worked up over nothing, because he worked out his right hand patterns before, and then all of a sudden now he doesn't have to spend as much time on recording the pieces for his audition. So now it's kind of a long story, but I think the moral of the story for you is you got to work out those right hand fingers and keep them consistent, because it's not going to go away. And as you go through the books, you want to do the same thing you want to do the same thing every single time. That way, when you get to the more advanced pieces that require that, it's not like you're starting from scratch again. You've already practiced the skill before you even get there. Scaffolding, and it's kind of what the whole Suzuki thing's all about. So do that for me, please. In the B section, it was really noticeable. There was a spot in there, ba da da, and I think you reached for it with your middle finger, but didn't quite make it. If you had programmed in that right hand ring finger to do that, you would have nailed that note right there. Musically, it sounds nice. Yeah, you have a lot of good things going on. Maybe you could even slow it down a little bit, make it more sung. Big thing is that ba da 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 da. A little bit of vibrato on there. You don't need very much, but I think on the long notes it needs a little bit of vibrato. Ba da 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 ba da 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 ba da 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 da. Right, you need a little vibrato on those long notes right there. So that's what I gotta say about the Carcassi, making sure that you do the right hand fingerings, because I won't ignore that. And then number 3 on our list is the D major scale. And coming back to the sitting position, if you change up your orientation with the guitar, your body has muscle memory, right? So when I sit with the guitar, my pistol, I want it to be the same way every single time. So my chair, I always want my chair at the same height, and I always want my footstool at the same height. If I don't have that, it feels weird to me. If you ask me to play my pieces and I have my guitar kind of like this, I'm like hunkered over like that, like peering over the top, I'm gonna make mistakes. Straight up, that's what's gonna happen. Hedge my bets, you know, got my guitar up this way, I got my knees at the same height. Actually, my chair can be even a little bit higher. See, it felt weird to me, so I had to change it. Because I sit like this so often, right? That way this hand is always in the same orientation, this one's always in the same orientation right here. If I change it up, that throws my muscle memory, my muscle memory off. It'd be kind of like if you're playing soccer and every time you went to go play the game, you got a different pair of cleats on. Some cleats are different sizes than others, it'd be weird. So you want to make sure you have your guitar in the same orientation every single time. And if it takes recording yourself to do it, then so be it. So once you have the guitar in the same orientation as you did previously, then you start working on things like this. So say in the D major scale, that right there is a danger zone right there. Going from here, we have what are called positions on the guitar, right? You got open position where the notes you're playing are on the open strings. You have first position, second position, third position, based on what fret you're playing, where your first finger is. So if your first finger is being placed on the second fret, you are in second position. So when I play the D major scale, even though you're starting with the pinky on the 5th fret of the 5th string, you're not in 5th position, right? You're where the first finger is hovering over top, which is in second position. So this right here, you're not really in 5th position right here where the pinky is. You're actually in second position. And the shift that we're doing in the D major scale is a 5 fret jump, basically, because you're not gonna bunch up your fingers here and then do the jump like that, even though it really is between this finger and then where you're here, that's 2 fret span. You're really shifting from here, the second position, all the way up to the 7th position. So what I would do if I were you, and what I did, I still do this when I'm working on scales, is I go, okay, what position am I in down here? I'm in second position, okay? And then I go, okay, real slow, shift into 7th position, because that, when I play that high D right there, that high D, my first finger is over top of the 7th fret right here. So I'm not really in like 10th position here. I'm actually really in 7th position because I go, and my first finger is hovering over top of the 7th fret. So you're in the practice. See, my head's nice and tall. Right, I'm looking down, I'm hunkered over top like this right here, hurting my back. Getting older, so I can feel back pains now. Right? So here, 7th position, or sorry, it's the 2nd position. And I slowly shift as a unit, all as one, so I don't, see, I don't just like throw my hand up there. I know exactly what position I'm going to. I look at it, and I shift the unit being the whole hand, right? My thumb being in the good orientation, my fingers are coming along for the ride. We'll talk about more of this shifting motion right here. My teacher Ricardo was big on thinking that the shifts all initiate from the shoulder, and I agree with him. He's a very smart man. Practice that. You have two choices when sitting down to practice. One is you can just run things on repeat. Just play it over and over and over again. And you can do that, but you're not really practicing anything. You're just kind of running over it in hopes that the next time you stumble upon you stumble upon something that makes it a little bit easier to play. Or option B is you stop and go, okay, why did I make that mistake? Why did that mistake pop up in my playing? And it's not because you're not good enough or smart enough and no one likes you. It's not that reason. It's because there's something in the mechanism that is faulty, right? I know you can hear a D major scale. I know that, right? I know you can hear when there's a break between the notes. I understand you can do that, right? So it's your issue is not auditory. It's not hearing the mistake, right? It's stopping and going, okay, why did that happen? And what am I going to do to fix that? Right? And you have, like I said, you have two choices. You either can choose to ignore that and just keep on doing things on repeat, and eventually maybe one day stumbling upon the answer. Or you have option B, you go, why did I make that mistake? It happened for a reason. It's not because of magic, as far as I know. It's because something happened in your mechanics of shifting from one thing to the next that caused that error, right? So like I said before, when I talk about car accidents, the car accident isn't the car colliding. It's not the missed note. It's something happened. Whether it was a distraction, mechanical reason, or whatever, that is the accident resulting in a collision, right? In this case, your collision is the shift between the 2nd position and the 7th position. And you can choose just to jump back and forth and just, I can play fast up and down, or to get faster and clean and fast. You stop, go, what happened? And how do I fix that? In your case, it was because the fingers bunched up. They bunched up and then jumped back up again, right? You just took a flying leap and then try to, sometimes it lands, sometimes it doesn't. But we're working for good odds. And hedge your bets. I would literally practice. Even on my rock stuff, even on my rock scales, I do this all the time, not just on classical, but on rock stuff too. So 2nd position, shift the unit. 2nd position, 7th position. I would practice that transition. I would separate all the things that don't matter. Playing fast at this point doesn't matter. If you can't shift clean, it doesn't matter, right? I got rid of all the things that don't matter in the moment, right? Playing all the notes of the scale, trying to jump fast. That's not the problem. Okay, I think I got it now. Now I'm going to try. Case right there, when I made a mistake, I forgot that when I shift, my elbow does this. I wasn't paying attention to that. So that means in my practice, I need to sit down. So my practice after this video is that, see it? I'm working on the problem. I'm not ignoring the problem. I'm working on it. There we go, dog. Now you got it. Now I'm consistent, right? That's the biggest lesson I learned. Well, I learned a lot of lessons from my teacher, from Ricardo, and one of the biggest things that I learned from him, and I've carried on with me through things outside of guitar, is not to ignore a problem. If there's a problem, you go right to it and fix it, and figure out what's causing it, because there's always a reason as to something didn't go right. There's a reason for it, and that was the biggest thing I think. One of my big takeaways from him and how he's really affected my life is that I don't just go, oh, I was glossy, let's forget about that. No, it happened. Let's figure out what happened. Anyway, I know a lot of preaching today, but I hope you get something out of that, and send something back where you show me you isolated the issue and corrected the problem, rather than glossing over in hopes that you stumble upon the answer somewhere without thinking about it. All right, cool, man. Time for you to do some rock lessons. So I'll see you in a couple minutes.